the difference. Yeah. The necklace was cracked, so I took the earring. I looked around. I looked around for a while, but I'd only found one of them. And who's gonna buy one earring? I can't even sell it. Yeah, you can have it. It's worthless junk. Anyway, I called the cops after that. I thought I might pick myself up a sweet little reward, huh? Yeah, there is gonna be a reward, right? How much? Huh? No reward. Obstruction of justice. You know, finding that stupid body's brought me nothing but trouble. No cash, and now getting sent to the gear. Well, at least they feed you there.
I hate to say this when I know you're doing your best to help, but I've always known that something like this would happen to her one day. Yes, we expected it. That's why we didn't request a search or post a reward. I mean, sometimes a machine's just too broken to be repaired. I mean, but this injury, I fell down while taking a walk. It's embarrassing. Getting old is misery. Anyway, we'd like to go home as soon as we can. My wife isn't in the best of health. I have a bad back, too. It hurts more and more the longer I sit here.
Yes, I'm all right. I suppose that I've been expecting this to happen one day. My daughter, she was a kind girl, but ever since she dropped out of high school, well, she lost most of her friends and was practically alone in the world. At some point, she started going out almost every night. Sometimes she didn't come home for an entire month. We thought that's what happened this time, too. Oh, this? I slipped on the stairs. Yes, my husband and I are both getting rather old.
It seems that the victim's relationship with her family wasn't going well.
Dropping out of high school, going out every night. Sounds like a typical delinquent.
That's not the best way to describe it, but I can't say she was well behaved.
Yeah. Did the parents' testimonies tell you anything else?
There's something that bothered me more than just what they said. What caught my attention about the father was... It wasn't major, but there was some injury to his face. And in the mother's testimony, my attention was caught by... Yes, she had some signs of severe bruising as well.
But they both said that they'd gotten hurt by falling down.
You're not paying attention. Take a closer look at both of them. They both have multiple injuries, but each injury is in a different state of healing. This means that... Right. How many people do you know who fall down several times a week?
I see. You have a point there. Then why were these two?
I don't know yet, but they must have a reason for hiding the cause of their injuries. claimed that he hadn't seen the corpse to hide the fact that he stole one of her earrings. This man deserves a severe punishment. I should tell the little guy about it. Huh, yes, these two facts do tell us something. It's more than that the person who had found the corpse stole something. There's one more important fact involved with this case, and that is... Yes, only one of the victim's earrings was at the scene. Either it came off somewhere, or she was only wearing one all along. Where could the other earring have gone?
Dr. Kimishima, we've identified the vehicle from the accident.
Good. That's rather quick. For you guys.
Hey, come on. We're a national government agency. We'll have the recording from the driver's interview later. He pretty much admits to what we suspected had happened. So, case closed?
Easy there. It's too early to relax yet.
What do you mean? I mean the culprits.
Do you think that just catching the truck driver will solve this case?
Doesn't it?
A 23-year-old woman was walking alone in the mountains 8 kilometers from home. You think she was just walking the dog?
Okay, that does sound odd. So the investigation's not over yet.
Indeed. Go look into the parents' hospital records. From the size of those bruises, they would have needed to be treated at a hospital.
Got it. What will you be doing, Dr. Kimishima?
I'm going to investigate the victim's house. Keep the parents in custody until I'm done.
Right. I'll tell the ones in charge right now.
Okay, from what you got. Now go here. Now here.
These pieces, let's see. Ah, the mirror on the dresser's been broken. I wonder what happened to it. A reaction to the luminol. It seems there's something here that isn't part of the broken mirror. It's the same earring that the man who had found the body had stolen. But what would this be doing here? Indeed. All the shattered glass was neatly placed in one area. That means that someone had cleaned up the glass shards. They must have swept up the earring along with the glass. If that's the case, was the earring with the glass pieces when the mirror was broken? In any case, since it reacted with the spray, there must be blood on the ceiling. I'll need to have the little guy analyze it and see if it tells us anything. It's an ordinary package of breath mints. You can get them anywhere. Still. Just as I thought. These aren't mints in here. These markings seem to indicate that this medication was produced for a pharmacy. I might be able to ask the little guy to find out just what it is.
Okay, so that's not bad.
Dr. Kimishima, we've received the interview with the truck driver from the accident.
Huh, alright. How did he seem?
It's easy to sympathize with him. Sounds like a case of wrong time, wrong place.
I see. Alright, I'll check the recorder.
Please do. I'll transfer it over to you.
I need to pay careful attention to his account of what happened before and after the accident. What Veronica was doing prior to being hit, and what the driver did afterwards. That's what I should be sure to listen for.
What do you want? I didn't do anything. I don't know. A woman. That woman. It's not my fault. I was supposed to drive a shipment to a nearby town. Damn it, they forced me to do it. Why the hell would someone be sleeping in the middle of a mountain road at midnight anyway? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I turned a corner and she was lying on the bridge.
She was sleeping on the bridge? This seems a little odd.
Yeah.
If this man was telling the truth, then the victim had already collapsed there from the start. It doesn't seem like he was lying, but what in the world does this mean?
This is weird. This is getting weirder and weirder. This is getting weirder and weirder.
The hell? It stopped. I turned a corner. I slammed on the brakes, but I wasn't fast enough, and I ran all over.
Yeah, he's driving a heavy truck. Yeah, he's driving a heavy truck and he's trying to stop short. He's not gonna do that. The heavy vehicle's not made. That heavy vehicle's not made to stop quickly.
I threw up the bridge.
He threw the victim's body off the bridge. This means that the victim wasn't knocked off the bridge by being struck by a vehicle. Yes, both of these facts relate to the victim. If I were to sum up the driver's account prior to the accident, the victim was... Right. The victim had already been collapsed on the road, and after he ran her over, the driver... Yes, he threw the victim over the bridge. Little guy, what's the FBI's opinion about this?
He's already admitted to killing her. Why would he lie about that?
Indeed. His account coincides with the evidence I have found as well.
What evidence?
Well, if she had been standing when she was hit by the truck, the fractures to her bones would have indicated a strong impact from one certain direction. In this case, nothing of that sort was observed.
I see. What about the shattered skull then?
The skull fractures are consistent with a strong impact to the top of the head. It would be unnatural for it to have been due to a car accident. Considering what happened to the victim, it can be deduced that something else caused that fracture. That is... Yes. If she was unconscious when she fell from the bridge, the fracture due to an impact to the top of the skull is understandable.
I see. You're right, that does make more sense.
Yes. However, that raises questions about the victim herself. Why in the world was this woman so far from home? And why would she be lying in the middle of a bridge in the mountains at that time of night?
That's a valid point. I guess there are still some mysteries left unsolved here.
Indeed. We'll have to continue investigating in more detail.
Oh, Dr. Kimishima, we were able to look into the parents' injuries.
Good job. What did you find?
Yes, there were records that the parents had been going to a hospital, like you said. Let's see, it looks like they'd started being frequent visitors to the hospital 2 months ago.
How many times is frequent?
Oh, we didn't check every detail, but it was several times, ending about a month ago. The hospital staff seemed worried since many of the injuries seemed to be signs of abuse.
Did they tell the doctors who had been physically assaulting them?
No, they didn't. However, some of their injuries were quite severe. The mother seemed to have suffered some visual impediments due to a wound on her eye.
I see. Further investigation is required to determine who had been abusing them. Hey, little guy. I need you to analyze this medication.
Yes, of course. Did you find it in the victim's room?
That's right. It looks like it's prescribed medication. But what is it?
Who knows? It's definitely no common over-the-counter drug. I'd suspect that this would have to be prescribed by a doctor before someone can buy it.
I see, that makes sense. This could mean that the victim had attended a hospital. Was the victim suffering from some kind of injury or disease? If our analysis continues, we may find something out. Hey, little guy, I need you to analyze something.
Sure, send it over to me. I see. There's blood on it. The DNA matches the victim as well. Also, this metal fitting seems warped. Could it be worn out from use?
That doesn't seem to be the case. Look again at the bloodstain.
A bloodstain?
It's not on the ornament. It's on the needle part that goes through the ear. If there's blood there that matches the victim, then the earring was...
Yeah, 'cause it was a bad vehicle, then earring will be all mangled.
If that's the case, the damage to the fitting makes sense. But what could happen that would cause an earring to be torn off?
I don't know yet. Still, there must be some connection to everything else here. I think this information may lead us to some more concrete evidence. True. Both of these facts relate to the earrings. The victim was discovered with only one of these earrings, and the other one was discovered in her room with her blood on it. Normally, if someone had an earring torn off to the point that it caused bleeding, they would have to realize that something was wrong. Still, the victim was on a bridge 8 kilometers away from her home. What this shows is that
Solid evidence.
that's right. She didn't leave this room by her own will. She was probably forced out of here by someone else. That could explain how one of the earrings was left in the room. But why would whoever abducted her leave her on a bridge 8 kilometers away? I feel like there's a lot of truth that remains to be uncovered.
Dr. Kimishima, the results of the analysis on the corpse have come back.
Good. Did they find anything new?
It looks that way. The report indicates that the fractures to the femurs and skull, they were all posthumous injuries.
So these wounds were inflicted after she died.
Yes, that's what the report says. Oh, by the way, Dr. Kimishima, about that prescription.
Did you find something out?
Yes, we found which hospital the victim had been going to and requested her charts. It says Veronica had been to the hospital a month prior to her death. Her symptoms were migraines, visual and auditory hallucinations, mood swings, and aggression. It also says she was vomiting blood and had convulsions, along with hemoptysis.
Convulsions? Vomiting blood?
Yes, that's what it says. The doctors urged her to have more detailed examinations, but it seems that she had no intention of listening to them. In the end, she left the hospital and whatever disease she had went unconfirmed.
If only her doctor had forced her to be hospitalized.
That's just how things are these days. Really get concerned about strangers.
Let's continue with the investigation. Sorry for being emotional just now. In any case, we don't know what disease she had. Judging from her symptoms, it was something severe.
I agree. If we find anything out, I'll be sure to let you know immediately.
You do that. It may give us another hint in solving this case. True, these two do share a common link. The victim's hospital records say she'd been at the hospital since... Yes, 2 months ago. For the month before her death, she'd been treated at the hospital. Now, the parents' hospital records say they've been visiting the hospital since... Yes, they also started visiting the hospital 2 months ago. Veronica was going for migraines, hallucinations, mood swings, and vomiting blood. And her parents were going after suffering frequent injuries. A month before the victim was found dead, the parents suddenly stopped having these injuries. An unpleasant coincidence, to be sure. I hope there's no connection here. Can you do something for me, little guy? I need this bone analyzed in detail.
Oh, sure. What do you mean by in detail, though?
I just need to know if this fracture occurred before or after death.
This must have happened while she was still alive. Take a look at this area here. You can see where it started healing.
Great. I thought as much. All right, thank you. There's no knowing yet if this has anything to do with this case, but I do know now that this fracture occurred while she was still alive. Yes, these seem to be related. According to the charts, the victim's symptoms were migraines, hallucinations, mood swings, vomiting blood, hemoptysis, and perhaps most importantly, yes, sudden aggressive behavior. That is, she was acting out violently. Her conditions must have worsened severely a month before her death. That is, her violent tendencies would have increased in frequency and severity. In addition to that is the fracture in Veronica's finger. This is the only injury she had while alive. That's a common injury when people hit things with their fists. On the other hand, the parents' injuries seemed like signs of abuse. If I were to consider all these points, those wounds were... Right. The hospital records of both the victim and her parents, they show that Veronica had been physically abusing her parents.
Solid evidence.
Yes, we can put these two facts together. According to the chart from the hospital, the victim's condition caused her to vomit blood. If she had continued to vomit blood after her hospital visit, that would explain the blood stains on her clothing. Yes. We can deduce the victim's physical state from this information. First, the pathological changes. There's no knowing what disease she had. However, if this discoloration of the bones shows the existence of a focus, it's safe to assume that whatever disease she was suffering from was in an advanced state. The massive bloodstains on her clothes came from her vomiting blood. There aren't many conditions that cause that much hemorrhaging. From these 2 points alone, I conclude that she was already in terminal condition. Even if she hadn't been killed, she was already on the brink of death.
I see. I feel sorry for her. But if that's the case, then why?
Why was she kidnapped? I still have my doubts about that, actually. Did the murderer kidnap her? Or did that even happen?
What do you mean?
Whatever the case, she was definitely taken from her home before she died. The question now is what happened between the time she was taken until the car accident.
Right, I follow you.
Once we know that, we should finally be able to see the real truth behind this case. Little guy, I'm going to check the victim's room one more time.
I thought you might want to, so I have a new tool ready for you.
Someone's prepared. And what kind of present do you have for me?
It's not the most appropriate gift for a lady, but it's aluminum powder for finding fingerprints. There's some useful additions to the mixture.
Oh, great. I'm impressed.
I'm glad you like it. Spread the powder anywhere that looks suspicious and shine your investigation light on it.
And that'll make any fingerprints stand out? All right, I'll give it a try.
Good luck. Well then.
The victim's femurs were fractured in the accident with the truck. Her skull was shattered when her body was dropped from the bridge. We've confirmed that both those injuries occurred after death. From those facts, it's clear that when the victim was on the bridge, yes, even if she hadn't been run over by the truck, she was already dead. That means that the driver was telling the truth in his interrogation.
Then does that mean that she was kidnapped from her room, murdered, and then had her corpse dumped on that bridge?
I don't know that just yet. We'll need to investigate a little more.
Okay. I'm gonna power the powder loose, also get another crime scene. Took the closest down was the game. As they use it, spread the powder, and shine the EMS on spectacular things.
So many. These are all the same fingerprints. It's likely they belong to the victim. Now, why would she leave so many fingerprints in the floor?
You know, just push on the walls. It would be on the walls too.
Yes. She was probably crawling on the floor to move around. The prints indicate she was heading toward The prints on the floor lead to the room's entrance. They're even under the mat. What's underneath the mat? Nothing. What could this mean?
Means how you do this.
Just as I thought. These are bloodstains. They must be Veronica's. Considering the facts so far, these bloodstains must have been caused by... Yes, Veronica's clothing was covered in blood that she had vomited. The amount of blood here is more than would be a fatal loss in most people. But there's something odd about these bloodstains. Blood is a liquid. It should be evenly spread across the floor. If there was one reason for the bloodstains to be shaped like this, it would have to be... Yes. This door was closed when Veronica was vomiting blood. That's why the blood spread unevenly. This door had been closed when Veronica was vomiting blood. Thus... The room is now in the same condition as it was when that happened.
And the map you did.
Huh? Bloodstains? Inside the scratch marks? From looking at the shape and location of these scratches, they are... Yes, these are traces that someone had clawed at the door. On top of that, it was done with such desperation that their own nails cracked and bled.